Now that Hillary Clinton has officially become the Democratic Party's nominee for president, I would like to discuss who I am voting for. As you are no doubt aware from the title of this video, it is neither of the major parties' candidate. When it comes to third parties in the US, a popular talking point is the concept of, quote-unquote, spoiler votes. It claims that by voting for a third candidate instead of one of the main two, you take away votes from said candidates, causing the other to win. This is generally true when you have two candidates, out of say three, who are very similar competing for votes. They may each win 30%, while the divergent candidate receives 40%. Thus handing the office to person C. Even though 60% of the populace agrees overall with the very similar positions of A and B. I find fault with this, however, in the idea that my vote belongs somewhere by default. That it doesn't have to be earned. Just because there is a D next to Hillary Clinton's name does not mean she accurately represents my views, or she somehow deserves my vote. Furthermore, I believe that there is a big enough difference between the third-party options of Gary Johnson from the Libertarian Party and Jill Stein from the Green Party compared to either of the two main party picks, that they aren't just a Trump or Clinton in a different shade and are better off not voting for because their quote-unquote main party equivalents will basically do the same things, but instead unique candidates of their own, with significant policy differences. Stein and Clinton are not equal, they are not similar. Johnson and Trump are not one in the same. A vote for one is not an endorsement of the other because all four candidates differ considerably when it comes to policy positions and philosophy on governing. The state of the 2016 election is interesting, with both primaries turning out candidates with the highest unfavorability rates in recorded U.S. history. You will find that this sort of vitriol will lead to many citizens not voting for a candidate, but instead voting against one, which can be very undermining for a representational government such as ours. After all, just because someone thinks Trump's views are worse than Clinton's, or vice versa, does not mean Clinton's views are good. In democracy, this is known as voting for the lesser of two evils. You will see this kind of argument play out more and more.
You have to vote for Hillary or Trump will win and do X. Do you want X to happen?
This trying to guilt people into feeling personally responsible for the negative actions taken by a person they didn't vote for, is specious. Likewise, voting for Hillary would make you just as responsible for the abhorrent things she too would do once in office. If not more so, since you actually casted a ballot in her name. In the end, I would rather cast my vote for the person on the ballot who best represents my views. Anything else is a lie. I foster no delusions that my candidate will win, and I have accepted that. Similarly to how half the country likewise always has to accept when the person of their choosing doesn't snatch the presidency. However, increasing the percentage of the vote either of the third parties receive in the general could greatly improve their standing around the nation when it comes to such things as recognition, federal financing, and spreading their message. The two-party system and the parties within are a shell of their former selves and a disgrace, ripe with partisanship and gridlock, and both ultimately beholden to their corporate donors, ushering in the least productive Congress in American history. Any effort to potentially bring a third and fourth voice in our national dialogue is one worth undertaking. This may ultimately lead to a Trump victory, which some would debate is the worse of the two outcomes. I am not privy to either a Trump or Hillary administration, however, and look forward to neither. Though it is of note that some people would rather tolerate having someone as president they disagree with than openly support a blatantly corrupt system and its candidate. If the rest of the Union wants one of them as commander-in-chief, that is their prerogative. As for me, I think I shall take a page from Pontius Pilate's book, and wash my hands of this fiasco altogether.